Hey, what is up, guys? Today's video will be consisting of setting up an IAX trunk or X trunk inside of your PBX in a Flash GUI. I already set up an example account here. It's roughly the same idea and the same setup when you're setting up a SIP trunk. Uh, the only difference would be the carrier will be sending you more credentials for the X trunk. There's a good chance that they might have kept these username information the same, but either way, you still need to copy and paste what they give you because they might have some special modified credentials that you need to put inside of your PBX. On this setup here, it is the exact same thing as our SIP trunk. So the only thing you would have to do in this trunk here is just to copy and paste it over. The only big difference that you're going to run into is the register string. As opposed to SIP, you need the username :password at the domain / the username or whatever SIP contact that they allow. With X, you don't really have to do that. The only thing that they really need is the username :password at the domain. Some devices might require the SIP contact at the end of it, but since this is X, it really shouldn't matter. At least for our trunks, it doesn't matter. Once you submit the changes and apply configurations, that's it. You have the X trunk set up. What you can do, as always, click on the FreePBX system status, and just to make sure that all the trunks are registered. So for this account here, we do have one registration because I disabled the other SIP trunk. So this shows proof that the X trunk is registered. So you make an inbound call to the registered X trunk. The call should come in as normally, like you already set up for the other previous videos. Now, of course, if you guys want more referencing about this video, be sure to go and click our setup for a SIP trunk video, and it will give you the exact same steps as X. It roughly is the exact same thing. Only difference would be just the register string. But there's a quick tidbit that I need to let you guys know of. Is in the SIP trunk, it's very important that you add the SIP contact field behind the registration string, because some providers need that inside of their package. So please be sure to set up the username :password at the domain / the SIP contact. In this case, would be the same username. Okay, another thing that I forgot to mention to you guys is that inside of the PBX and the Flash, of course, you have the advanced SIP settings and the advanced X settings. After you create your X trunk, you would need to modify the advanced X settings or IAX settings. Just make sure that the packets are going out correctly. This will be the same setup that you've done with the advanced SIP settings here. So in the advanced X settings, you can modify things like, of course, codec priorities, bandwidth, which this actually does work. I've used this before. After you set the priorities for the codecs based on bandwidth, it will actually switch codecs. It does video, registration timeouts, jitter buffer. These things you might want to check, especially if you have any type of special net settings inside of your firewall or inside of your company. You might want to check these settings here first as well. So after you create the trunk, after you tested the trunk, be sure to go back to the Asterisk X settings to make sure everything is set correctly. Or if you try to set up your X trunk and it does not register, and you definitely know that the ports are open for that, go back here and make sure that everything is set correctly as well. You might have to do some hard coding. It depends on how strong or how complex the company firewall that you have. But other than that, this would be all that you need to modify to get the X trunk running. Of course, be sure to open up port 4569, that's UDP, inside your firewall. And of course, the typical ports are 10,000 to 20,000, but that's mainly for SIP. But either way, X also use a few of the ports as well. On a good note, it only uses a small amount of ports, one port at a time, and also is very good with firewalls. So if you do not have 456 open in your firewall, it will normally try and find the next available port out of your firewall to register. But keep that in mind, folks, and I will see you guys next week.